Welcome to the Cub Scout Digital Day Camp presented by the Greater Alabama Council. Please join me as we say the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the Scout Oath and Scout Law. Scouts, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Scouts, will you now please raise your right hand, showing the Scout sign, as we said the Scout Oath and Scout Law. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty, to God and my country, to obey the Scout Law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2. Thank you all for your attention this morning. Let us now begin our first activity of the day.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the fourth video. So in this video we're going to be talking about how to make a triangle and using your compass to lead you in the directions to go in a perfect triangle so we can hopefully end up at this exact same spot where we had this flag. So basically we'll be heading that way, taking a left, heading this way a little bit, and then coming back. We should end up somewhere close to here. That's the goal. Anyways, to begin this, I'm going to be using my little sister as a demonstration here, and you are going to hold your hand out like this, and then you're going to want to make a point of reference. This won't be all the time, but right there we have a slide, so we're going to use that as our point of reference for now. If you don't have a slide or something obvious, you can use a tree or a piece of grass. Just make sure you keep your eye on it and don't lose sight of it. Anyways, you'll put your compass in the hand flat. You can hold it with 2 hands if you want. That might help. And then you're going to want to line up the arrow as best as you can in line with the slide. That's good. And then you're going to want to put red in the shed, like we talked about a few days ago. Keeping red in the shed is really important with this. Yes, you need a landmark and all that. It is more important if you keep red in the shed than anything else. And that should be pretty good right there. So then we're going to take 50 steps or 50 paces towards the slide. This time you're going to count every time you step, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? You understand? Alright, so once you take 50 steps this way, you will stop and we'll get with your next instruction. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's go. You up to 50? Okay. Now we need to go this way. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to turn this way so that the arrow points to 120 degrees. So if I can get my cameraman down here, hopefully you can see that. And you're going to want to turn until it reaches 120 degrees like that. Once you have it at 120 degrees, you want to turn your body. Red in the shed again. And after you put red in the shed, you can then find a landmark. So now we'll go 50 steps again. Ready? All right, go. Make sure you keep that compass level. That's 50?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as you can see right now, we are about in line with the flag. But wait, don't turn yet. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to turn it until we reach 120 degrees. So keep turning. Wait, not yet. Turn back around a little bit. There we go. That's about right. And so then we're going to want to turn this again so that red is in the shed. And then you'll hold it again. And just by looking at it, eyeballing it, you can kind of see that that is almost in line with our target. If our flag is over there and the compass is pointing that way, we are almost in line. So let's see where we end up. And that should be 50 right there. And that was me counting.
50 right here.
Okay, 50 was right. So this is where she ended up at 50. Now, she wasn't always going at the same pace, but as you can see, she is pretty close and basically in line. So if you keep the pace going, then you should be very close like she was to your target. And it makes sense too, because each turn you do is 120 degrees, which if you do the 120 degrees for every turn, that's 360 degrees. You've made the full circle, as she's demonstrated. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys learned something, and you can go do this in quarantine too. If you find a decently open field like this one, then you just need a small area. You can do this however many steps you want. We did it with 50 because of the area we have, but if you want to go 60, 100, whatever you want, whatever you have the space for, you can go for it. Just the same principles apply with the compass turning. Anyways, that's all for this lesson, and we only have one more for the summer day camp, so that's the 4th video pretty much. We only have one more video for your online day camp, and the next one should be more about the map and symbols on it. So you won't need a compass for the next one, but you will need pen and paper and maybe a map if you have one, so you can also find the symbols with me. Now I'll show you once with just me doing it by myself at a little bit of a faster pace.
Hey guys, so I'm going to talk about the sheep bend knot. The sheep bend is the knot you are supposed to use to tie 2 ropes together. So as you can see, I have an orange rope and a brown rope, and I want to combine these two. So basically the way this knot is supposed to be tied is you take your left or right, it doesn't really matter which one you start out with, but I'm going to start out with my left one. So my orange one, the way it works, I'm going to make a U. I don't want to make a circle. I just don't want to do that. I just want to make a U, all right? So once I have my U made, I just want to hold it with my left hand. So now my left hand is holding my U inside of its hand. So after that, I want to come up with my brown, and I want to come up through the U, just like that. And I want to take my brown rope and I want to wrap it all the way around the U, just like that. You guys see that? Now you guys see how I still have this hole over here though, right? So that hole, I want to come up through the bottom end of it, and I want to grab the end of the brown rope. So now I have something that looks just like this, all right? So instead of pulling this end or this end, these 2 top ones, I want to pull these bottom ends, and basically just like that, boom. My knot is tied, just like that. And as you can see, as I pull, it doesn't come loose at all. So this is what your knot should look like by the end of it. If your knot comes apart at any point, you didn't tie it right. If these, see how these don't even come apart? That means you really tied it right. So there you go. That is the sheep bend knot.
Hey everyone, so what we're going to do today is a little bit different than what we've been talking about. So far you've only seen the educational aspect of the Raptor Center. So all the birds that you've seen so far have all been non-releasable for some reason or another. They're with me over on the education side. But today our rehabilitation unit actually has 5 hawks that are ready to be released back into the wild. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about those 5 individual hawks, and also we're going to see them get released today. So this aviary behind me, that's actually where they stay. It's a really long aviary where they've got plenty of room to kind of gain back their strength. So after they kind of go through any kind of medical procedures that they need, whether they need to have some surgery on a bone or something, they'll come out here to these larger aviaries and kind of start gaining their strength back. And today we've got 5 different hawks that are ready to be released. I've got some notes here because I don't really know much about these birds. Like I said, we're totally different sides. So I've never seen these birds before. I have no idea about any of their problems. I don't go anywhere near them because they could potentially have some kind of disease. So we have biosecurity procedures in place where I basically stay with my educational birds, which I know are healthy, they don't have any kind of diseases, they've been with us for years and years and years, and then our rehabilitation staff works on these rehab birds, and I usually don't even come anywhere close to them. But like I said, today we've got 5 raptors that are ready to be released. Now before they can get released, they have to pass a flight test. And so our veterinary staff, our rehabilitation staff, will go into these enclosures and kind of do a flight test with them. They will analyze them in these large aviaries where they can see them flying back and forth, and they have to score at least a 22 on that test in order to be released. So all 5 of these raptors, these 5 hawks, have all scored at least a 22 and are going to be released today. So we've got 2019-248. So he's the one that's been here the longest. I say he. I actually don't know if it's he or a she. We don't do DNA tests on these. But it's been here the longest, and it came in with a wing droop. Don't really know what that wing droop was caused by. Possibly soft tissue damage. They did do some radiographs. That really didn't show much. And so maybe some soft tissue damage, possibly some nerve damage. 2020-010, which had an esophagus laceration, and it was unable to stand when it originally came in. We also have 2020-024, which was unable to flex its middle digit on the front. You know, these raptors are grabbing birds, and so they need to be able to flex those talons. We've got some radiographs of that one online. 2020-029, which had some head trauma and was wobbly. It actually ran into a glass window. These birds really don't see glass. They kind of see straight through it. And so sometimes they will hit those glass windows. They'll just kind of stun themselves. They will have that head trauma sometimes. But usually after a couple days in these flight aviaries, getting their strength, giving them a couple good free meals for those few days, can get their strength back, and then they can be ready for release. And then we also have 2020-051, which came to us emaciated. So it was basically starving. We can give it food for those free meals, get it back to a healthy weight, and then release it back into the wild. Now, after these 5 raptors get released, we are going to have 47 raptors still here undergoing rehabilitation. This enclosure behind me, after these 5 get released, it's going to have 7 hawks and 1 owl in there. And so we can co-house these raptors. They can all live together depending on their species. You obviously don't want to house species that would fight with each other, possibly kill each other together, but the red-tailed hawks and the great horned owl and vultures can all live together in this really large enclosure behind me. And that really there's plenty of room for them to spread out. We give them plenty of food in there, and so they can cohabitate together. And then when we release them, usually they're not going to stay in that same spot. So even though we're releasing these 5 together today, they're not going to stay in that spot. They're going to go somewhere else. They're going to go off, find their own territory, and they could go miles. I mean, they could be in Georgia by tomorrow. There's no rules that they have to stay here. And so they can go wherever they want. And like I said, possibly it could be over in Georgia tomorrow. And so we really don't know where they'll go. We actually don't even keep track of them. You have to have special permits for that. We don't have permits to ban these birds. And so once they get released, we really don't know what happens to them. But hopefully they have a great life out there. We're kind of giving them that second chance of living life out in the wild. Like I said, if possible. If not possible, they'll come and live with me at our education section, or we'll transfer them to another facility if I don't have room, or maybe if I don't want that individual for any given reason. So we're going to get these birds loaded up, and we're going to take them out somewhere and get them released. So hopefully you enjoyed watching those 5 hawks get released today. We're back at the center. I'm standing in front of some of our other rehab aviaries now. You've seen them kind of in the background of the videos we've been doing sometimes. So we've got 2 large ones down where I originally was, and then we've got these 4 kind of medium-sized ones up closer in a different area, up closer to my area. But we released 5 of those raptors today. Like I said, we still have 47 raptors here in our care now that are all for who knows what kind of reasons. Well, the veterinarians know, but I don't know what they're here for. We do have an online software website that you can go to. I'm going to post a link for those 5 raptors that we released today because there's going to be taken offline here tomorrow. But all of our active cases, you can actually go to our website, auburn.edu/raptor, and click on case updates and see what raptors are in our care, what their problems are, if they've got any radiographs that are visible, and you can actually see how much it's costed for us to care for those raptors. And so if you're ever curious about a raptor that you dropped off, or maybe just what raptors we have in our care currently, you can go to our website, auburn.edu/raptor, click on case updates, and see the raptors in our care. Today, rehabilitation is actually releasing another bald eagle. And so I wasn't able to go on that release today, but I've asked them to get some videos, so we'll see if there's anything that I can use with those videos. It's not very long. You know, the videos, it kind of goes quick. You kind of just open up the box and the eagle's gone, the hawks are gone. They don't really stay around and thank us very long. But if we get some good video from that, I'll be sure to share that with everyone. Thanks for tuning in. War Eagle.
Hey Cub Scouts, I'm Mr. Chris. I'm the Shelby District Commissioner and an Assistant Scoutmaster with Troop 404 in Pelham.
And I'm Miss Leanne. I'm a Unit Commissioner with Shelby District and also an Assistant Scoutmaster with Troop 404.
We hope that you're all safe. We wish we could be outdoors with you, but unfortunately, right now we can't.
So we're certified angling instructors, Mr. Chris and I are, and we're here to teach you about fishing.
First thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of our equipment. So let's head outside. Okay, we made it outside. I've got a bunch of gear here that we're going to talk about. The first is essentially a cane pole. This is my Wonder Pole. You can get a Wonder Pole from scoutshop.org, and what it is a big long pole with this fishing line attached to the end. You'll be able to see here this one is about 12 feet long, and we have a string on the end of it with a hook. What you do, you drop that string down, you put your bait on the hook, you drop that string down into the water, and the fish will come along and bite it. All you do to pull the fish in is pull up on it, and then you simply bring the fish into you like this. Okay, our next piece of gear we're going to talk about. This is our second fishing rig that we're going to talk about. It's a closed-faced rig. This is Miss Leanne's personal fishing pole. That's why it's pink. And you'll notice that you can twist this piece to get to the inner workings of it. Once we get that back on, I'll tell you how it works. Okay, you'll notice we've got some fake fish out here, and that's a little game that I'll explain to you a little bit later. But we're going to talk about casting right now. So in order to throw this out, we have to press the button, hold it back, and let go of the button when we throw it forward. Then what we do is we reel it in. And that's how you cast the closed face fishing rig. Okay, our next fishing rig is what's called an open face spin caster. You guys may have seen this before. In order to cast this out, you have to hold the string, and then we've got this part right here. It's called the bail. You flip this up, and this lets the string be free. So in order to throw it, we hold it back like we did with the closed face. We throw it, we let go of the string, and then we simply reel it back in. Let's see if we can catch the blue one here. Nope. Oh, we caught a yellowfish. All right. Well, we've got a couple more fishing rigs that we need to talk about. This one, this is a big pole, so we'll get it out here. This is our fly fishing rod. So you guys may have seen this before. It's one where it's not like these fishing poles. These fishing poles rely on the weight of the bait and any other weight that you put on it to get the bait out there. This fishing rod relies on the weight of the line. You'll see we've got this big, thick orange line on here. And in order to cast it out, we have to pull out some line. I'm gonna go way out here because we have to get a lot of room in order to be able to do this.
So here we have our backyard bass game. As you see, we have lots of different bright colored fish laying in the grass. You don't need water for this or live fish. You can see there's one of them there. This one kind of looks like a brim. We'll learn about those later. But right now we're going to teach you some casting and play this game. So we got Mr. Chris here, and he has the pole. And he's going to do some side casting and some other casting techniques for us. Oh, looks like he may have a blue fish there. Oh, it got away from him. Got away from him. Oh, he's going towards the yellow fish. Let's see, does he have it? Maybe. Oh, no, that one got away. And he's going towards another blue fish here. Oh, he may have, oh, he got this one. Look at that, he caught it. And that's how you play the game. Another side cast here. Going for this green fish, it looks like. Oh, looks like he's got it. And you can even spread these out a little further. Keep making it a little harder for yourself so you can practice. Assign points, like, you know, green ones are 10 points, blue ones are 100 points. You know, you can have fun with it. And also a little later on, we're going to show you how you can make one out of cardboard here so you can practice at home. Oh, he missed that blue one. He's going for another blue one. Let's find him over there. He's got it, fish on the hook there, we got it. And he's reeling it in, and another catch.
Okay, I wanted to show you guys this up close. This is a closed face spin caster reel, kind of like Miss Leanne's pink one that I showed you earlier. I want to take it apart and let you see how it actually works. So what you do is you unscrew the lid to get to the inside. I've got some line on here, and we'll pull some out. All right. When you reel it, you'll see the top part spins around. Okay, and you'll notice that the top part has a little hook. Now when your line is out, that little hook catches the line. And as it spins around, it pulls the line in. When you press the button to cast the line out, you'll see the little hook goes in, and that leaves the line free to come off the spool. Okay, let me get it back together here. And I'll show you another feature we have. Well, if it'll screw back on there. There we go. Okay. With the reel ready to reel in, I can pull on the string. And do you guys hear that clicking? That's from what's called the drag. I can increase the drag on this rod and reel, make it harder to pull, or I can lessen it, make it real easy to pull out. This allows the fish to pull line out after it has caught your bait. And we can simply reel in all our excess line. And that is a closed face spin casting reel. All right, now I want to talk to you about some of the various features on an open face spin caster reel. If you recall, when we were outside, we have to, on this type of reel, we have to hold the line with our finger. And then we flip this bar up. This bar is called the bail. It will, when it's in the down position, it will prevent the line from going out. And if we flip it up, the line can unspool. If we unscrew the top here, we can actually take all the line off of the reel and we can get into the guts. But we're just going to put that back on. Really, the only thing you're going to do there is maybe add some oil to make it reel in smoother. Let's get this cap back on. All right. And the last thing I wanted to mention is this button in the back here. Right now, I can only reel in. But if I press this button, I can now reel in and reel out. I can let line out with that. So some models have a feature like this that will allow you to reel line out. And this can be beneficial when you have a fish on the line and that fish is tough to reel in. You can reel some line out, let him swim around, let him get tired. All right, well that pretty much does it for open and closed face reels. Okay, Cubs, now that we know about rods and reels, let's talk about what should be in our tackle box. I've got a display here of quite a few things that I keep in my tackle box, and we'll go through this. The first thing in your tackle box, for those of you that have already earned your whittling chip and have been instructed in safe knife usage, is a good sharp knife. You're going to use a knife for all kinds of things when you're out fishing. You're going to use it to cut line. You're going to use it to cut bait. There's just a whole range of things that you can use a knife for while you're out fishing. So I would definitely recommend, if you've earned your whittling chip, that you include a good sharp knife in your tackle box. Okay, the next thing you're going to want to have in your tackle box is extra fishing line. I've got 700 yards of it here, and the reason you're going to want this is things happen while you're fishing. It can get tangled up in either branches or brush. Your line can break. A big fish may bite your hook and swim off with it, and your line breaks. And then what are you going to do? Well, a scout is prepared. So keep some extra fishing line in your tackle box. All right, the next thing you're going to want to have in your tackle box is what's called either floats or bobbers. As you can see, I've got various sizes here. What you do with these is you attach them to your line, and when a fish grabs your bait, it goes under the water. It tells you when a fish has taken your bait. So you're definitely going to want to have a couple of these in your tackle box. As you can see, we've got a couple of different sizes. The size that you use does not matter. It's up to you as to which size you choose. They also come in different colors. We've got a pink one here that Miss Leanne uses, as well as red and white. But you can get them in fluorescent yellow and other various colors. All right, the next thing you're going to want to have in your tackle box is weights. And I've got a variety here that I wanted to show you. These on the right over here, these are split shot weights. What you do with those is you crimp them onto your line using pliers. So what are you going to want to have in your tackle box? A set of pliers. This one here is cone shaped. It goes on, if you're using an artificial worm, it sits on the end of the worm. And I've got other bigger weights that you can use while you're out fishing as well. All right, the next item you're going to want to have in your tackle box is a hook. As you can see, I carry around a large assortment of hooks. I have various sizes of hooks. These first two that you see here are good for catching crappie or bass. This larger one would be one that you would use for something like a pike or a sturgeon. And the thing about hooks is if you go saltwater fishing, the gear gets quite large. So you can have extremely large hooks that would be used for catching things like barracuda or sharks. All right, we talked about pliers when we were talking about weights. The reason you want to have pliers, you can crimp those weights onto the line. You can also use these to take the hook out of a fish's mouth. I've got a couple of other items here that I use in my tackle box, very similar to pliers. These kind of look like scissors, but they're not. This is what's called a hemostat. You can see they have little teeth down here that will lock together when you clamp them on something. You can use this if you're having a difficult time getting a hook out of a fish's mouth. And the last item that I use when I'm fishing is a pair of sharp scissors. You can use these to cut fishing line or other things that you may need to cut while you're out on the lake. Okay, we've been talking a lot about catching fish, but one thing we haven't done is talk about the bait that we're going to use to actually catch them. I have an assortment here on the table, as you can see, of different types of bait you can use. And these are typically found in my tackle box. But artificial baits like these are not the only ones that you can use. You can use natural baits, and those include things like worms, crickets, corn. Fish love corn. You can put a couple pieces of corn on your hook and something will bite it. You can use dog food or old hot dogs, some fish will actually eat those. But let's get into what we've got here. These are artificial worms, and as you can see, I've got different colors, different sizes of worms. These are Miss Leanne's. They're nice and sparkly. A good color to use is a color that represents a worm that you would find in nature. And that's what these are. These are brown worms. They're actually called pumpkin fire. Now, these are used for saltwater fishing. They look like shrimp. So they're made of the same stuff that the plastic worms are made of. Over here we've got a couple of jigs, and you can see these have a different kind of hook than what I showed you before. These have what's called a treble hook. It's 3 hooks on the same hook. You need to be really careful with these, or they can get you. And this is a jig. I've got another jig right here. You can get these in all different colors and shapes at your local sporting goods store. This is called a spoon, and it's pretty neat because this piece on the end, it's shaped like a spoon. That's why they call it a spoon. And it spins around while it's going through the water. And when it does that, it catches the light and fish are attracted to it. This over here is very similar. It's a spinnerbait. It's got a little tiny spoon on the end of it, and as it's going through the water, it spins and attracts the fish to it as well. Now these 3 over here, move these in. These are flies. You remember we talked about the fly fishing rod. These are what you use on the fly fishing rod. And the purpose of these is they're meant to look like bugs. They float down on the water surface, kind of like a bug would if it was landing on the water, and they sit there. And the fish come up and get it. Well, that's pretty much everything in my tackle box. One thing I did want to mention is that the size of the bait that you're using does not equal the size of the fish that you're going to catch. Okay? So, smaller baits can catch big fish. And that pretty much wraps up the tackle portion of this video. We're going to now go on to our craft. All right, now it's time for our fishing craft of the day. As you recall, when we were outside, we introduced you to the backyard bass fishing game. All it is basically a flat piece of plastic and 2 raised pieces of plastic on the end. The way the game works, the fish is thrown out on the line. The line goes through the little channel in between the 2 pieces of raised plastic, and the fish catches onto the plastic and pulls it along. Well, we can make one of these ourselves. And to do that, we're going to use something that many of you probably have at home, and that's an old pizza box. First thing I'm going to do, I am going to cut off this flap here. And hold on to these because we're going to use these as the raised pieces. All right. Now I've already drawn a fish on here. As you can see, you can make more than one of these out of a pizza box. Your fish does not have to be this size. It can be bigger than this or it can be smaller than this. But I'm going to go ahead and cut my fish out. All right, now that we've got our fish cut out, The next thing we need to do is we need to add some pieces on the front to represent these raised pieces on the backyard bass fish. We've got our flaps that we cut off earlier off of the pizza box. First thing we want to do is cut them at a diagonal so that we have a piece that looks something like that. And we'll do that for each one. So that we have two pieces like so. Now what we're going to do, we're going to just take tape and we are going to tape these to our fish. And it's okay if it doesn't look pretty. It's a fish made from a pizza box. But we want to be sure that we leave enough room for our fishing line to go through at the front. So let's get this taped on. Okay, and we may want to add one more piece right in the middle just to help it all stand up together. So now we've got something that looks like this compared to something that looks like that. It's pretty close, right? Well, let's try it out. We've got our fish here. We cast our fish out beyond the fish. We reel it in a little bit. It catches and pulls it in. Now, I know you may not have a little plastic fish at home that you can use with this, but you can use pretty much anything. An action figure would work. You could cast out your action figure and pull him in, catching some fish. All right, well that's it. I hope you guys have fun. If your family eats a lot of pizza, you can make a lot of these fish. You can use cardboard boxes that you have around the house. That would be another great source. Ask your parents first before you go cutting them up though. All right, thank you.
What's up, Cub Scouts? My name is Chris, and I'm an Eagle Scout here in the Greater Alabama Council. I'm also a photographer, so your virtual day camp directors have asked me to put together this short video to help you learn some great tools and tips on how to be a better digital photographer. The stuff I'm going to talk about will work with any camera, whether it's a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, an iPhone, an iPad, your laptop, or a GoPro. These tips work with all kinds of cameras. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about camera safety, some basic photo tips, some popular camera modes, some projects to help you get started in photography, and some ways that you can share your photos with other people. Let's get started. Section 1, camera safety. Before you use a camera, it's important to remember some really important rules to help keep you safe and to keep those around you safe. Rule number 1, no cameras in bathrooms, locker rooms, shower areas, bedrooms, or anywhere else that you might expect privacy. Rule number 2, don't take pictures of people without their knowledge or permission. Rule number 3, don't post embarrassing photos of yourself or anyone else. Remember, these rules are important. They're meant to keep you, your friends, and your family safe. If an adult catches you breaking these rules, you might lose your camera privileges. Section number 2, photo tips. Here are 3 easy to follow tips that will help you be a better photographer. I use these tips every time when I go shoot photos. Tip number 1, keep it straight. Unless you're standing on a wall like Spider-Man or hanging from the ceiling like a bat, try to hold your camera straight. This will help everything look like it should in the finished picture. Tip number 2, get up close. Whenever you're taking a picture of someone or something, get up close and let them fill the entire photo. If you're too far away, it can be hard to tell what is important in your picture. You also don't want to get too close, otherwise you'll end up just taking a picture of your cat's nose. Tip number 3, tell a story. This one can be tricky, but but try to take pictures that help you remember happy times in your life and the people who mean the most to you. If you're on a hike, it's okay to take a picture of that cool rock that you found or the animals that you saw along the trail, but don't forget to stop and take a photo of the people who were with you so you can remember the time that you shared together. And the last tip is the most important tip of all. Don't forget to have fun. Camera modes. Most people don't know this, but the camera in a smartphone is actually 4 cameras in one. The first 2 modes are your normal photo and video modes. Everyone knows about these, and we use them all the time to take photos and short videos. Mode number 3 is the time-lapse mode. This mode can be used to speed things up. You can shoot a time-lapse photo of yourself doing something that might take a long time, but the time-lapse effect will make everything look super fast. Try shooting a time-lapse of yourself pitching a tent or building a Lego kit. And finally, mode number 4 is the slow-mo mode. This makes fast things move very slowly. It's the exact opposite of time-lapse mode. It's used to slow things down. If something is happening really fast and you want to slow it down, this is the mode for you. Try shooting a slow motion video of yourself hitting a baseball or jumping into a pool. Project ideas. Sometimes when you're getting into photography, you just need a project to help you get started. So here are a few ideas. The first idea is a selfie scavenger hunt. This can be a fun activity to share with your friends, your family, or the other scouts in your den. Everyone starts with the same checklist. Then they try to take selfies of themselves doing all of the things on the list. After you take each selfie, you check that item off the list. When everyone is done, you can share your photos and everyone can laugh at all the different ways you did the same things. We'll send your adults a link to download this checklist to help you get started. Project number 2, a letter hunt. This project can be a lot of fun when you're shooting photos by yourself. You just have to find the hidden letters all around you. Maybe there's a T in your backyard fence or a hidden S in the garden hose. Maybe there's an O on your bike tires. There are hidden letters in the world all around you. You just have to take your camera and find them. Project number 3, pet and family photos. Take some pictures of yourself with your favorite pets or family members. Maybe you can take a picture with your family every month for a whole year and then compare all of the photos at the end of the year to see how much everyone's changed. Sharing photos. For me, the best part of taking a photo is sharing it with other people. You can do this in a number of ways. The first way is through email. Your parents can help you email your favorite photos to your friends and family members. You can usually do this directly from a tablet or smartphone. Otherwise, you may have to download them to your computer and send them from there. Method number 2 to share your photos is social media. Use the hashtag #VirtualDayCamp and tag the Greater Alabama Council on Facebook. If we see your photo, we'll be sure to hit that like button and leave a comment. Other popular sites include Twitter or Instagram. Just be sure to check with your parents before you share photos online. The third method to share your photos is by printing them. If you have a picture that you really love, you can print a copy and hang it on your wall or put it in your scrapbook. Your parents can help you order from an online service, or you can send the photos to a local store such as Target or Walgreens, and they'll print them for you. Remember, sharing your photos can be a lot of fun. So let's review what we've learned today. First, there are 3 important rules that you have to remember. No cameras in private areas such as bathrooms, showers, and bedrooms. Get permission before you take a picture. And get permission before you share a picture. We also shared some basic tips for taking better photos. Tip number 1 was keep it straight, unless you're Spider-Man or Batman. Tip number 2 was get up close, but not too close. And tip number 3 was tell a story. Remember that the camera on a smartphone has 4 basic modes. It has the normal photo and video modes, which we all know. It also has time-lapse mode to speed up things that happen very slowly, and it has slow motion mode to slow down things that happen very fast. And once you have all that, you're ready to try a photo project. We shared 3 easy photo projects to get you started. Project number 1 was a selfie scavenger hunt. You start with the same list as your friends and you share your results when you're done. Project number 2 was a letter hunt. Look carefully at the world around you and find all of the hidden letter shapes. And project number 3 was pet and family photos. You can capture some special memories with your favorite pets and people. And finally, we discussed how fun it can be to share your photos. Email lets you send a few photos to a few people. Social media lets you share photos with a lot more people all at once. And printing lets you hold those pictures in your hands or hang them on your wall. And finally, don't forget to have fun. After all, that's why we take photos. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope that you learned something. I look forward to seeing you share your photos online.
Yesterday, we discussed the first 4 points of the Scout Law: trustworthy, loyal, helpful, and friendly. Today, we will continue on the Scout Law as we talk about courteous, kind, obedient, and cheerful. Now, without further ado, let's get this started. The first point of the Scout Law that we'll be talking about today is the Scout is courteous. This means the Scout is polite to anyone, no matter what age or position they may be in. They know good manners and make it easy for anyone to talk to them. An example of this would be holding the door for someone as they walk into the store and ask how their day has been. The next point in the Scout Law that we will be discussing today is the Scout is kind. A Scout knows that there is a strength in being gentle. He knows how to treat others how they want to be treated. An example of this would be saying thank you to anyone who has served in the military, who teaches you, etc. The next point of the Scout Law is the Scout is obedient. This means the Scout follows the rules of their family, their school, and their Scout troop or pack. They also follow the laws of their community and the government. If they think the laws are unfair, they will go in an orderly manner and try and adjust them instead of disobeying them. An example of this is if your Scout troop says you have an hour of free time, you obey that hour instead of going for an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and 30. You obey what the Scout masters or den leaders say. The last point that we'll be discussing today is a Scout is cheerful. A Scout always looks for brighter things in everyday life. They always complete tasks with a smile on their face and try to make other people happy. For example, one of your friends is upset for some reason. So you go over to them and try and raise their spirits and make them happy again. I hope everybody has had an awesome and amazing time at the virtual Cub Scout Day Camp presented by the Greater Alabama Council. I can't wait to see everyone's faces very soon.
Softly falls the light of day as our campfire fades away. Silently each Scout should ask, have I done my daily task? Have I kept my honor bright? Can I guiltless sleep tonight? Have I done and have I dared everything to be prepared? Listen, Lord, oh listen, Lord, as I whisper soft and low. Bless my mom and bless my dad. These are things that they should know. I will keep my honor bright. The oath and law will be my guide. Mom and Dad, this you should know.